In this presentation, we will be talking about the difference between descriptive and prescriptive issues, and most importantly, I'm going to show you how to differentiate the difference between the two. I'm going to show you several examples. I'm going to have you go through it with me, so that way you will be able to do the practice problems on your own. So a quick review, because you have read the chapters, so you read about the difference between descriptive and prescriptive, but I would like to go ahead and explain it a little bit more and go into details and provide lots of examples. So when we talk about descriptive issues are issues that typically describe the way the world is, was, or going to be. You're describing what has happened before or what we think is going to happen. Descriptive issues are typically found in textbooks, magazines, the internet, and television. Also reflects our curiosity about patterns or order of the world, okay? Now, prescriptive issues, the key word here is it suggests the way the world ought to be. And it raises question about what is right and what is wrong, what is desirable or undesirable, good or bad. One way I'd like to differentiate between descriptive and prescriptive is when it comes to prescriptive issues, these are issues that are typically debatable. There's really no right or wrong, and both sides can have strong arguments. If you run into those type of issues, they're typically prescriptive because, again, it raises questions about what is right or wrong. It doesn't really mean you can come up with the conclusion of what is right or wrong. And a good example, one that is commonly debated, is abortion. Okay, abortion is typically, a prescriptive issue, especially when it comes to should we legalize abortion. Okay, those who are against it has strong reasons and can find evidence to support their answers. Those who are against it also have strong reasons and can probably find some evidence to support their answers. So this topic is typically prescriptive because it's really not a black and white issue. Now, for descriptive, you're kind of looking at, I don't want to call it facts, but sometimes you are looking at facts because it's describing what has happened. And if it's happened, it's a fact, okay? Of course, you also want to fact check, but it's typically describing something that has happened. And so you're typically looking for things that they're describing things that has happened. Maybe it can involve statistics, numbers, data. All of those are typically descriptive issues, okay? So as a critical thinker, why is this important for us to know the difference? Besides that fact that it's in a textbook and we just need to know the difference. But how does this apply to us as critical thinkers, okay? The reason why it's important for us to be able to differentiate the difference between the two is depending on what type of issue that you are preparing to argue. If it is a prescriptive issue that you will be engaging an argument about, the topic is a prescriptive topic or issue, you will know that it's not a clear answer. So you're not going to go out there and you're not coming back to, your anticipation is you're not going to be able to clearly at the end of the argument define who wins or who's right and who's wrong. When you know as a critical thinker that it is a prescriptive issue, how you encounter it is going to be a little different, and how you engage in the argument is going to be different versus a descriptive argument that you will engage in. This is where you're going to want to find your evidence. This is where you're going to want to use your research. This is where you're going to want to find documentations. That's what's going to help you with your argument in descriptive issues. And sometimes it can be black and white because you're using facts or things or patterns that has occurred or things that are documented, and that this is the pattern, and you can use those to support your argument, and it's much easier to distinguish who is right and who is wrong in a descriptive argument versus in a prescriptive argument. It's really difficult to clearly define who is right and who is wrong. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and look at some examples. I'm going to give you some issues, and I want you to decide if the issue is descriptive or if the issue is prescriptive. And I'm going to give you a little bit of time to try to decide and make a decision on your own. And then I'm going to show you the answer, and then we'll go over why it's descriptive or prescriptive. So here's the first one. Should victims of crimes have to testify in court before the suspect? So take a moment to decide, do you think it should be descriptive or prescriptive? Okay, so in this particular issue, the type of issue this question poses is it is a prescriptive issue. The reason why this is a prescriptive issue is because there is no clear right or wrong answer. Both sides can have strong arguments for why the victim should testify and why the victim shouldn't testify. So for example, if you're a rape victim, okay, someone can argue and say, well, the person who is the victim should not have to testify because then they will have to relive through the trauma. But then the other side would say the victim should testify because then their testimony is what's going to put the person, the rapist, behind bars. So as you can see, both arguments are pretty strong. So it's not a clear black and white. So because of that, this is a prescriptive issue. All right, let's look at another one. Is the media influential when it comes to elections? Is this descriptive or prescriptive? Okay, now in this particular issue, this issue is descriptive. The reason why it's descriptive is because I can find data, and I can probably look up some data and collect data from surveys to find out how influential the media is when it comes to the election. And so because of that, it describes the way the world works. It describes patterns, okay? And so if you look at if most of the media is against something, then it can influence people and how they choose to vote when it comes to the election. And there are patterns that we can identify. And so it's describing the way the world works. Okay, so this would be a descriptive issue. Okay, let's try another one. What causes people to commit heinous crimes? Do you think it's descriptive or prescriptive? Okay, this issue here is definitely descriptive. It's descriptive because it can identify reasons for why people have committed heinous crimes. And you can describe patterns in people. Some people had a really difficult childhood. Some people may have experienced trauma. Some people have mental illness. So all of these are examples of how we can describe causes that explains why people commit heinous crimes. So this is a descriptive issue that we would be arguing. Okay, why can't life in prison replace the death penalty? Is this descriptive or is this prescriptive? Okay, this issue here is a prescriptive issue because it is debatable. Okay, why can't life in prison replace the death penalty? Some people argue and say that it doesn't really serve justice. Okay, sometimes for some people justice is the death penalty, and then the other argument would be that the death penalty is inhumane, and so the other option would be a life in prison. So because this is debatable and there's no clear black and white, okay, and both sides can have strong arguments, this is a prescriptive issue. What is the cost of one execution? Is this descriptive or prescriptive? Okay, hopefully you selected descriptive because again, I can find documentation, I can find data, and I can look in each state to see how much it costs to execute, to carry out one execution, and so this would be descriptive, okay? All right, last one, last practice here for identifying descriptive or prescriptive. Why can't, oh, I did this one already, so I'm sorry. This is a repeat, so I'm going to skip this one. In the last slide here, and this is prescriptive, okay? In this last slide here, you're going to do in your practice, you're going to complete a table that is similar to this. And what I've done is I put down several different topics, and I wanted you to see how I can have the same topic, but I can have two different types of issues that I am arguing about with the same topic. So for example, when it comes to gun control, one type of prescriptive issue could say, should more gun control laws be enacted? So this is debatable, okay? Those who says yes, more gun control laws should be enacted, they will have their strong arguments, and they could probably come up with lots of things to support their reasons. And those who are against it can probably come up with a good reason as well. So this is a very debatable issue. There's no clear black and white. So that question right there is a prescriptive issue or question. But notice how it changes a little bit if I were to have a descriptive issue on the same topic. Now notice how the question changes. How have gun control laws been implemented? Okay, so now it's a describing question. It's one where I can go back, look at practices that states have implemented, and I can describe those patterns or those practices. So this question is a descriptive issue. Okay, let's look at voting and see two different types of questions. They're both on the same topic, and they're similar, but then the way that it's questioned distinguish or differentiates whether it's prescriptive or descriptive. Should people be required to be registered to vote? Again, this is very much a debatable topic, but when you look at how it's descriptive, how often do registered voters actually vote? So again, I can go back, I can look for data, I can look for information. This is not debatable. It's very black and white, and it's clear, okay? All right, so let's look at the next topic, free to college tuition. Okay, so look at how the question is being imposed in the prescriptive manner versus a descriptive manner. Okay, should we offer free college tuition? Again, pros and cons, can have both strong arguments on both sides. It's debatable, it's not clear, so it's prescriptive. Versus what will it cost taxpayers for free college tuition? So someone can easily come up with a formula and try to figure out the numbers and present that numbers to everyone, and that would be descriptive. Okay. All right, let's look at the topic for SeaWorld. Okay. One prescriptive question could be, what ought to be done with orcas in captivity at SeaWorld? So this one was inspired by my love for watching the documentary Blackfish. Okay, and if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Okay, on Netflix. I don't know if it's actually still on there. This is a prescriptive issue because this is debatable. A lot of scientists are, you know, do not agree with each other on how to handle these orcas that are in captivity. Some says, well, if we let them go, they're not going to survive in the wild because they have only been raised within captivity. Others are saying, look, they are sick, their health decline as they stay in captivity, you know, and so it's debatable. There's no clear answers. But look at the next question for descriptive. What are the conditions of the orcas in captivity at SeaWorld? This is something that you can easily describe. You can observe the conditions. You can look at documents and notes, field notes, and those would answer that question. All right, for the next topic, prostitution. Should prostitution become legal? Okay, versus what would happen if prostitution became legal? Again, we're describing possible patterns that we know and we can use those patterns to describe what could possibly happen. So this is a descriptive issue here. Online school. Should California open up a fully online community college versus what will it take for California to open up a fully online community college? So this table that I created here, my intention is for you to see how we can use the same topic. And even within that one topic, we can have both prescriptive and descriptive issues to debate about. It just depends on how the question is being asked, okay? And so when you do your practice, you are going to come up with prescriptive and descriptive issues for each topic that I have given you.